This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Bruchim Abayim, we're approaching the holy day of Lag BaOmer. The Ben Ish Chai, in the Rav Pa'alim, Yeridea Siman Nun Hey, he asked that Reb Shimon says in the Idra, I testify about myself that the min yoimoi, from when I started, loy batilna ilain tlasudas the Shabbos, I never was mevatel the 3 meals of Shabbos. That means Reb Shimon is saying he never was mevatel shalosh sudos on Shabbos. What do you mean? He was in the Ma'ara for 13 years and all there was a carob tree and water, and you can't be yotzei sudos Shabbos with that type of achila. You need pas. So how could he say that he was never mevatel the shalosh sudos? And the Ben Ish Chai says as follows: during that time that Reb Shimon was in the Ma'ara, he was an oinus because he was being persecuted by the Kesar, and he was pater from shalosh sudos and from eating matzah and mara on Leil Pesach and from sukkah, and all the mitzvahs that one is not able to be mekayim is not considered a bittul. Oinus rachmana patre. That's not called a bittul, says the Ben Ish Chai. So even though he says min yoimoi loy batilna, that's not included. This time was not included. He was not mevatel it. The same way when he was a katan, he wasn't chayv in mitzvahs, that would not be a bittul. So during a time that he was exempt because he was pater, that would not be a bittul. And I have a sefer, it's called Tiferes Maggid, a beautiful sefer on Lag BaOmer, and he cites a Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz that we're all familiar with by now, that when a person is precluded from being mekayim a mitzvah and he wishes he could be mekayim a mitzvah, so Hashem considers it as if he actually fulfilled the mitzvah. The same could be said about the RASHBI when he was in the cave. He had no opportunity to actually fulfill the mitzvah, and therefore heaven considers it as if he did. But then the Ben Ish Chai takes it further. Because the RASHBI says, all my life I was never mevatel. What about when Erev Pesach comes out on Shabbos? Then there's no way to eat shalosh sudos with pas. Ayin ba'or chaim siman taf mem daled. So how could Reb Shimon say he was never mevatel? But the Zohar himself says in Chelek Gimel Tzadi Hey that Reb Shimon says, "Miyoymoi ishtadlana natim vatel suda Shabbos, even afilu inun yoymei dishtakach bei." And Reb Abba says that's what Reb Shimon did on a day that you can't be mekayim suda Shabbos, referring to Erev Pesach shechaliyos b'Shabbos. He would arrange bread. He would arrange, his table, and he would learn Ma'aseh Merkava, and he would say, Dasu dasa de malka de yesi lamechal gabay. The Mikdash Melech explains that he would learn Ma'aseh Merkava, and it would take the place of Suda Shabbos. As we know, that even though we don't paskin this way lahalacha, but Reb Shimon's shita is learning can take the place of Suda Shabbos. The Sefer Avos Hashem explains the Idra Zuta that I testify to all the tzaddikim that come from Gan Eden that I was never vatal gimel sudos, that even our Pesach Halvis b'Shabbos I would be oisek b'yichudei elokis and Ma'aseh Merkava, and that was in the place of Suda Shabbos. So says the Ben Ish Chai, when he was in the Ma'ara, he would learn Soidos Sal Yoinim during the 3 Sudos, and by doing that, he was Yotzei the Chiv of Suda Shabbos. And instead of Achilas Matzah, when he couldn't be Oichal Matzah, he would learn the Soidos of Achilas Matzah and the Soidos of Lulav, and that he would be Mekayim it Ayidei Machshava. What's interesting is, by the way, Reb Shimon's Shita in Shas is, Reb Shimon always goes Basar Machshava. So this fits in to Reb Shimon L'shitase. In any event, now we understand how Reb Shimon was able, the opinion of Reb Shimon in Shas is as linan basar machshava, and that's how Reb Shimon was mekayim the mitzvahs of Shabbos. Okay, wishing everyone a freilichen lichtigen Lag BaOmer.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.